All right, everyone. I am live. I am going to, this is very, very impromptu, but I will be going live going forward. Hello, everyone. It's Giorgio from Giorgio Says. I am here live on YouTube and Instagram. I think, let me just double check, make sure everything is connected. Don't know. I did this once. Let's see. All right, so as you can tell by the title, we're going to be talking about Real Housewives of New Jersey updates. And I'm also going to talk about the premiere for Real Housewives of Dubai. And there has been some news regarding Real Housewives of Orange County. I do believe we will be getting a trailer this week, but I figured now we can start meeting live every day. And actually, I wonder if my Instagram live is on. I don't know. I'm just going to wait for some people to come in. So let's do this while I get this configured. Listen to some of my new album. All right, I see you guys coming in on the Instagram. Hello, hello. It's noon. If you guys can hear the music in the background, can you give me a shout out? Let me just turn this one down. Okay, let's get into it because I am ready to talk. I think we've got some people in. I want to talk about some updates regarding Real Housewives of New Jersey. If you are new here, welcome. I see you guys on the Instagram live. Hi, Sweet Cookie. Hi, Stacy. Hi, Sophia. Yes, join me. I don't know if you guys, hi, newbie. I don't know if you guys listened. I'm releasing an album. It's not a joke. All Bravo related, of course. July 11th. There are 6 singles out right now. Type in Giorgio Says on your Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you're listening, and enjoy. We will be playing some of that music for the show. Just so you guys are aware, I will be going live from this point going forward, Tuesday through Thursday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so we can really get into the thick of discussing what's happening. So I think we should start with New Jersey. What do you guys think? I think let's dive in there because obviously that was our last show that has come out in terms of episodes. And obviously, if you haven't listened to my recap, it's on my podcast, or you can also listen to the shorter version on my Instagram and TikTok. Also, thank you guys so much. You guys send me the nicest comments, and you're so complimentary to the way I give the recaps, and it really makes me happy because I love doing it. It's one of my favorite things on doing this type of content is the recaps of the show, and so I thank you for that. Hello, Jeffsy Doodle. Yeah, so I figured, I finally have figured out a way to make sure I can prioritize going live more. I know you guys have been asking, when are you going to go live? When are you going to go live? And so I want to make sure if I'm going to do it, that it's consistent, something that you guys can look forward to and that I can commit to, because life has been kind of crazy the last few months. But anyways, all that boring stuff aside, let's jump into what's happening in Real Housewives of New Jersey, because I just found out that there is, I don't even know, I guess the latest in the whole thing is that Louis has taken out a $1 million mortgage on I think it was $3.2 or $3.5 million home that he purchased. And I believe he purchased it all in cash. So there isn't a traditional mortgage on this house currently. And just to clarify, a lot of people were asking as well, why are we saying it's Louis's house? Well, because Teresa's name is not on the house. And so technically speaking, it is Louis's house. He paid for it, that and the other. Now, I understand that it sounds weird. Why would he pull out $1 million mortgage? Like, why would someone do that? Well, there's a lot of reasons actually, and I know a lot of people want to jump to like the weirdness part of the mortgage, the $1 million that he took out. But in normal sense, if someone had a house that was worth, they bought it for $3 million and then it gained equity, right? I believe it's in your best interest to take some of that equity out, I believe, from what I've understood. And don't quote me on this. I am not a mortgage person, but from my understanding, from what I've read from different people, sometimes it's best to do that for other reasons when you do not have a traditional mortgage, is what I've come to understand. If anyone out there understands it better, please educate me. But I think the real issue that comes with this, for me, it wasn't that he took the $1 million mortgage out, because listen, we don't really know what that's for. Maybe they're using it to do reno, or maybe they're going to start a business, or maybe, to Teresa's point, Louis is helping pay for college. Maybe he needed the cash. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But where it gets a little murky, because it always does, right? Because I was like, oh, this isn't the weirdest thing, so I didn't even mention it. But then I was like looking up some stuff, because you guys know, if you know me from the beginning, I'm going to get down to the nitty gritty of it if I can. If I can find it, I'm going to look for it. So I did some digging, as I do. And I think the weird thing, and again, I'm not in the real estate mortgage part of this, but the company in which has the mortgage or owns the mortgage for this $1 million is a company that is in Florida. It's Mark Johnson LLC. Okay. That is who has basically funded this loan based off of the equity on the house. Okay. Not the biggest deal in the world. Great. But then I start looking into the status of the company in Florida, and it's inactive. In fact, it's been inactive pretty much. I think the last time they filed an annual report was in April of 2018. So how is a company that's inactive giving you a mortgage or a loan for $1 million based on your home equity? Does that not sound weird, guys? And if this doesn't sound weird, again, please, I'm not the expert in this thing, but if I'm looking at this, like if I were to go with a company that was going to give me the $1 million off of the equity of my home, I would probably want to make sure that they're an active company. No? Because what if something goes wrong? Interesting. I'd love to know your thoughts on it. It does sound a little bit like off. So let me go into these comments, because I just talked for a little bit and make sure I see if anybody has anything. If Louis is so wealthy, why would he need to do this? Well, Nang, for not just Louis, but a lot of rich people use their assets as a way to fund their life, not because they need to fund a lifestyle. I mean, it's your choice, however you want to, build out your lifestyle. But rich people are, in my opinion, rich because they are smart about making their assets work for them. So in this situation, that's why it didn't immediately raise a red flag that he did this. It was the company in which he went with to do this. Because like I said, it hasn't been active, or it hasn't even released an annual report since 2018. So that's 6 years ago. So it's interesting. I'm not sure how it works. How can an inactive company still own the launch? It's just interesting. As interesting and a little bit red flaggy, because like, well, why are you not just going through a traditional financial institution to do this? Anybody could have done that. If you have no mortgage on your house and you have equity, no one's going to turn that down. Unless you guys, I don't know. It's crazy. It's crazy for sure, but I thought that was very interesting. And as far as New Jersey goes, we obviously know that we're not getting a traditional reunion for this season. We're not. And unfortunately, we also have a shorter season because it's split down the middle. How much are you going to film realistically? It's hard to film a show when it's supposed to be about a group of women that are friends if there's just two groups that are on separate sides of the aisle and are refusing to compromise on any level. And so it's brought people to this point. Why are we going to spend money if you guys aren't even interested in trying to move forward? There's been a lot of back and forth on this. I asked you guys yesterday on my last post that I did, where I talked about the fact that they're not getting a reunion. I asked, how would you want to see this play out? I mean, it doesn't need to be, I don't think it'll be as harsh as like RHONJ per se. I think that's just the first example we have when it comes to what has happened when a franchise did not get a reunion. And it's definitely going to be different. And I do know that they're going to give us something to try to close it out, I guess. That I don't know how they're going to finagle that in a way that's going to make anybody interested. It's just tricky because, like, if none of the women want to reconcile, then what are we discussing? What are we looking back on? Also, I think the time of the news coming out about them not having a reunion was too soon. Too soon into the season. We barely got into episode 5 before they're like, nope, no reunion. So it's like, even I was, I was in the middle. I don't remember what I was doing on Saturday, that I didn't stop to think enough of how, like, I wasn't completely definitive on what I said on my story. So if you saw my story on, I think it was on Saturday, I shared the blonde Puerto Rican had posted that, basically they're not getting a reunion. I'd already seen some posts about it, but I think by the time I got to their post, I was like, you know what? Then why am I going to watch the rest of the season? So I wrote that. And of course, those are the stories that I post that automatically get like shot. Like, Instagram must know, like, this is going to get a reaction. So let's send it to as many people as possible. Because a lot of you guys were in my comment section be like, please don't, please, please, please. I don't watch the show. I need your recaps. So obviously I took some time to stew on it and stop being such an emotional brat and understand that, business is business. I understand if there's not much that is going to come out of a reunion. I get it. Why are you going to waste budget on putting a whole set together and waste everyone's time, But ultimately, we'll never know. We'll wait and see what they give us, I guess. I mean, this is a short season, so it will be over in the blink of an eye. I just think it's frustrating for everyone. I think for New Jersey specifically, this franchise in particular seems to have, a viewership that I've never seen before, in the sense of the sides, the teams on this show are so strong that it is almost like, I've talked to other creators as well. They don't even want to discuss New Jersey because of all the backlash. And you say one thing off and it sounds like you're coming for one of the people that they adore. They're gonna ambush you. Although I will say there is one side that is way worse than the other. And I think you guys can figure out which side I'm referring to. But I'm not here to call out the fan bases. It's just, I feel this is kind of this has been brewing for a while, and I think we're starting to also see, and I'm sure a lot of you may not agree with me, but Zach Peter yesterday talked about this, and I agree. I think, I gave my take on Lala for the edit that I saw. Okay, I've been very open about trying to be understanding from all angles, right? I understand that there's a real person involved who's really hurt by the actions of someone. I also understand that this is also technically a job, and part of the job is to show these uncomfortable things. Now, what I think has gone awry is I think that people are now latched onto this hate train for Lala. And I think what Zach was pointing out was like, you can't call out bullying with bullying. And I agree with that. Like, if you're going to say that this person did these things, that is fine. That is your right. And everyone should have their opinion on it. Absolutely. But to then take it to, I can't tell you, he is so right. And I'm not going to mention the creators. But there are creators that I've seen. And when was the last reunion? It's been a week. Like, the show's over. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's focus our energy on what's airing. And let's also keep in mind that these people are just people that are doing a job. It's also edited. It's also, there's a lot of things. And I'm not taking up for anything that she's done. Like I said, I've called out what I did not like about her behavior. Now, no one's perfect. And I don't know, if I was on a reality show, that I might not have a season or two where I look like a complete buffoon. Okay. Like, I'm not going to pretend. I don't know. But when I am on one, I'm sure you guys will let me know, as you should. But at the same time, it's gotten to a point where it's like, now we're riding it out so hard. Like, there's people literally going in from the first season Lala was on the show to just show how hypocritical these little sound bites are, based on what she said. And it's like, okay, yes. She didn't handle things the right way. She absolutely didn't. But can we move on? Seriously, anyways. But speaking of that, I also want to talk about the Real Housewives of Dubai premiere. I don't know if you guys are watching. We can jump around too. I'm not done talking about Jersey and stuff. I just want to make sure I cover all the topics. But we can jump around. We can go back to whatever. If you guys, I'm going to definitely have time for questions and make sure I get everyone acknowledged that I can. So don't feel like I'm skipping over stuff or moving on. It's not. I just want to make sure I get the points out. But speaking of the Dubai premiere, I don't know about you guys. I don't know if you guys watched. I don't know if you watched it the next day. I don't know if you care to watch. But it's interesting that I was not excited for it at all. In fact, I forgot. Imagine, I have been telling, how many times have I reminded you guys that it is premiering June 2nd? Guys, June 2nd, Real Housewives of Dubai. It's finally premiering. And then June 2nd comes, and the whole day, it's like, I know it's New Jersey night, but for some reason I didn't put, it slipped my mind. I will tell you guys, I know everyone's so irritated at the whole thing, really. It doesn't seem like it's even a real show. Like, I've always joked and said that Real Housewives of Dubai is like the sponsored post for Bravo trying to sell Dubai tourism kind of thing. That's what I think this is. That's why we didn't prioritize the season when it was filmed a year and a half ago. Nonetheless, I was very pleasantly surprised. Very pleasantly. I wouldn't shit you guys. I will tell you. I was pleasantly surprised. I was entertained. First of all, you have these dynamic personalities on this show to begin with. You can't go wrong. But I think they got their feet wet from last season. You could tell that they're very much more comfortable. I'm sure they had a lot of mentorship because I think they, as much as they probably know what the show was about, until you're in it, you don't know how it's going to go, right? So you're doing it based on what you think it is. This time around, I think they really definitely learned a lot from season 1. And I think the ladies also learned to jumpstart things to talk about on camera, because I noticed that over the course of the year and a half, most of the cast members put themselves out there, whether it be on, page 6 articles about the Beyonce concert that they were fighting about in the episode 1 of season 2 premiere. Like, it was everything that I would want it to be. And so because I had seen some other people that had seen it already and they're like, oh my gosh, it's so good. And I'm like, well, I will see for myself. But, I will say, if you haven't watched it, I would say give it a shot. I think ignore season 1 and just go right into this episode, because you're not going to miss anything, really. They kind of frame it up nicely, so you're kind of abreast of what's happening and what's to come. I also like that it moved quickly. We didn't have a lot of these dead wait scenes, which we shouldn't, because we waited this long. But it's really, I think it's going to be a good season for them. And I hope that if they do continue, that it continues to grow in terms of like how they promote it. I think part of the issue really is that it's probably challenging because they are actually based in Dubai. It's not like it's as quick for them to jump over to do Watch What Happens Live or do these appearances. So I'm assuming that plays into it. Whiskey Blue on YouTube said it perfectly. That's exactly how I felt, Whiskey. Yeah, it kind of felt like a throwback to earlier Housewives shows where the drama was kind of dumb. Probably won't last, but it was nice to watch. I think that is perfectly said, Whiskey. I felt the same way. It was very much more nostalgic OG Housewives drama days, where it was like, no, you weren't sitting close to the stage at the Beyonce concert. We were in VVIP. We didn't even see anybody. And it was just like, this is the wackadoodle shit that we want to see the Housewives fight over. Like, who was sitting closer to the, I don't know, VVIP stage, Beyonce performed at. I mean, it's just, it's funny, it's light, it's still got the drama, but it's not heavy. We have enough, I think, to be fair, we have enough going on in the Bravo sphere when it comes to things being dark or toxic. And look, we are in a time where I think things are just that. I think reality sometimes has no choice but to mimic what real life is outside of it. And I think some of that plays into some of this. And unfortunately, you have viewers going through stuff, they get triggered. I understand I try to understand all aspects. So when you guys are in the comments or you DM me, you're like, this episode really triggered me, that speaks to things, because it's like people are impacted differently now. I know a lot of people will say people are just very sensitive these days. I don't think it's people are more sensitive. I think people are just, the wool has been pulled from their eyes and they're seeing things more clearly and they're calling it out. So I think that's a bit different. Now, are there the group of people that are, in my opinion, a bit more sensitive leaning because they're just looking for that to be an issue? Sure. There's always going to be a small group that's going to, push the wave or push the other way. When it comes to that. But I think overall, most people are just more clear as to what is bothering them about a situation. Whereas in the past, maybe they didn't understand that what they were watching was triggering them. And that maybe, so there's a lot of that too, but also it really is the franchise. It's so different based on what's happening. Like, New Jersey is more toxic right now. I don't think anybody here can deny that. Whether you like Teresa, whether you like Melissa, whether you like Margaret, whether you like it's toxic. It's very toxic. And I hate to be this person, but I just feel like every season it's gotten darker and darker for New Jersey. Right? Am I crazy? But the thing about I wouldn't even have a problem with some of this stuff if it wasn't so, it just feels gaslighty. Like, I feel like I see people come out and they try to like make a point about something and they're not trying to be team anybody. Truly. They're just being like logical, or they're not maybe they don't watch the show like the rest of us do, right? Sometimes that's a breath of fresh air. Sometimes I see a comment where it's like, oh, this person is not as obsessed about the shows and the narratives and nitpicking things. So their comment comes off very logical because they're not coming in with any bias. They don't know enough about the show. They've seen enough to make an opinion, and sometimes those opinions stick out, and I kind of look at things a little bit differently. So, but those are the people that will get torn apart in the comment section. You don't know. And it's like, oh boy. And then you get people in the you need to go to season 3, episode 14. And it's just, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. And no one's going to go do that. I think the point is that, yes, there's been a lot of stuff that's happened back and forth. But, I think with everything that's come out before the show even premiered, kind of ruined it. Right? Melissa's old nose. She just was like, she made photocopies of it reminds me of the scene in Mean Girls when Regina George made all those photocopies of all the burn book pages and just tossed the shit all around school and was just like, screw it. You all can see everything. And that's kind of like what I view Melissa's old nose did and is, seemingly still doing. She's still talking. I think I saw her last on David Yontef's podcast. So I think with that as well, that's kind of, and here's the other part of it too, for the troll accounts that are supporting this behavior, shall I say. I don't view troll accounts as, and when I say troll account, I'm not talking about the random people that just have an empty profile that just say mean things. Those are trolls as well. But when I'm saying troll accounts, I'm talking about the people that dedicate a whole page to one individual. They don't talk about anything else at all. It's just this person or this housewife only, and that is it. And that's fine. But that's also not a fan account. I totally respect fan accounts. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you have an account set up just to create this, like, it just muddies the waters. And it also, in my opinion, everyone does their content differently. However, what I will say is that I do think that some people take a lot of pride in trying to be the teacher's pet for a Bravo Leb, even though that Bravo Leb they're not making it worth the person's while other than giving them acknowledgement. And because the Bravo Leb knows that that's all that they need to do, essentially, then they know they can get so much out of these people. I think the issue lies that now we know, or allegedly, teasers were being shared ahead of time. People are now sharing all these screenshots. I think this is going to disrupt the way people who take people like me who do what we do, who try to be professional, we do make money from doing this. We take it seriously. And so we're respectful of whatever conversations we have that are offline. And it just seems like people that are troll accounts are holding on to things and waiting for a specific time to drop these loads out to the masses and try to like cause drama. But all it's doing is backfiring, it seems, because now I feel like whatever you guys planned, you've ruined it. You've ruined the show because it's too much and people can't deal with that. It's too toxic. All right, I'm going to go into the Instagram comments because they look like they're on fire. I think when Tree and Louis started contacting influencers, making crazy moments. Listen, let's be clear. I'm not going to sit here and believe that Teresa doesn't try to get things going before the season starts. Give me a break. Like, a lot of housewives do this, but I think the way in which we're doing it, and then I think here's the mastermind of it all. This is my own conspiracy theory, and this is why I think they feel like this will work. So the whole Fuda thing, I want to just talk about this because I see a lot of people. Thank you, Jeff C. Doodle. I feel like a lot of people are really coming for Rachel, but in the sense of like, who do you think you are? You're a nobody. You think you're going to come in here and you're going to just to Teresa. It's like, well, okay, well, hold on a second. Because I believe Rachel was hired as a full-time housewife, and as part of her job, she's supposed to do what she's doing. She's defending her husband. She's calling. Why does it matter that she's calling out Teresa? Are we not allowed? Is there a tier system on the show? Am I missing? I think this is the part that gets on my nerves the most with some of the people that are like, you don't need to talk to her at all. And it's like, what do you mean? Like, it gets a bit much. And if you love her, please. I love that for you. I don't have a problem with that, but it's where you start creating this line in the sand where you're not even allowed to say her name unless you're praising her only. Like, you can't, the minute you say, well, I don't think I would have, here comes the, it's just, it gets a little bit intense. I do want to touch on this. Manhattan Musings on Instagram Live brought up a very good point, and I didn't really talk all too much about it, but it's a very good point. A lot of people, and I saw other people comment on this too. Manhattan Musings wrote, that's exactly what bothered me about Dolores's comments to Rachel. Ugh, loving the Fudas and how they aren't scared of Trey and Louis. Listen, I applaud them for standing up for themselves, because here's the funny part. If they didn't, you guys would still be eating her up alive. Oh, look at you crumble. You can't even stick up for yourself. Then she sticks up for herself and you guys come for, so it doesn't matter what she does. You guys just don't like her, and that's fine. You don't have to, but she's still allowed to stick up for herself, and she absolutely can throw the shit back at Teresa if Teresa wants to play that game. This isn't her show. It's an ensemble show. If it was her show, then they would have gotten rid of everyone else and just said, we'll film with Teresa and Louis only. Where's that spinoff? I really do want to know, why haven't they given her a spinoff? Because her fan base is like, they would absolutely support it, no? The ratings would be through the roof. And from a production standpoint, why wouldn't you do a spinoff? Isn't it just like a perfect Brady Bunch situation? He's got 2 boys, she's got kids, they all like live happy under this one roof. So just give her a spinoff. Manhattan Musings on Instagram Live said the ratings for the wedding special were bad. I'm just saying, everyone says that there would be no show without Teresa. So then give her her own show. I don't know. Let's see. We don't know until you try. You don't know until you try. But I will say this. The Fuda thing, I think this is what I speculate. My conspiracy theory, okay? But I think they thought, we'll go after Fuda, because let's be really, really crystal clear here. Who was Teresa going to have an issue with this season? Who? Because last reunion, she didn't think that Melissa was going to be back on the show. So she thought that, done with that. Except we're not. And now you're in a conundrum, it seems, because it's like, and here's the thing. I'm not saying she doesn't add anything to the show either, guys. I think she is a pivotal part of the show. There's no disrespect to Teresa here. You can't take that away from her. She does add something. She obviously does, or she wouldn't have been on TV this long. I guess what I'm trying to say is that maybe the fan base has built her up to feeling this way, and maybe she feels like she has to come and be this way every season, where it's like, oh no, like it just seems like we're setting it up to make her look like the victim if the other person responds or defends themselves in any which way. I think so. I mean, listen, what did we have on that episode? If Rachel didn't do that, what would we have seen? Jackie desperately trying to get on the show. You know what's amazing to me, and it's so funny because Melissa called it. I'm so glad she did, and actually I'm glad that Danielle called Jackie out as well in the moment. It was so clear that she was like, nope, I've got to stay the course. I need to be back on the show. And the only way I can do that is if I make good with the HBIC. And that is Teresa. Now, it made me also think back to maybe Jackie was a huge fan of Teresa's all along and always wanted to be her friend. And unfortunately, they had that back and forth because she did go to her book signing. Did she not? They showed a picture of it. Now, in terms of Dolores, I think Dolores throws me sometimes. I love Dolores, but these moments where she turns around and instead of being like, look, or just don't say anything, but to turn around to this girl and be like, sleep with one eye open, like, or what? Like, I don't like that. I don't like when people say stuff like that because what are you implying? And if you are going to be out with a threat, what is it? Get it out. Don't tell me to sleep with one eye open. Also, the whole thing around this finale, that's really the reason. I think they knew they weren't going to do a reunion ahead of time, and I think all these other things, the Melissa's old nose and the other issues that they had happened during the season filming, which was what they filmed for 8-9 weeks, I think. That's nothing. And they scrambled because it's like a lot of separate events. So it's like it's really challenging to film a show and make it seem cohesive when everyone's everywhere. I also think that at a certain point, if you're not willing to play game and you think you're too big for the show or you're above certain things on the show, then it's time to leave the show. Because it means you're off to bigger, better things. This is not challenging you anymore. And that's okay too. All right, let's get in these comments, see what everyone's saying. Yes, they are loving the fame. Yeah, I mean, listen, there's a lot of people that feel like this behavior was kind of like given, essentially handed to her because of, she obviously has a great relationship with the network. She's able to do a lot and she has accomplished a lot. And, I will say this, when she was on Ultimate Girls Trip, and I'm going to say this, when Teresa was on Ultimate Girls Trip, I even said this on a recap that I got to know a different Teresa than I see on Real Housewives of New Jersey. So that's why I don't just lean into whatever it is that I'm seeing on the show because I don't know everything in and out about her. It could be as simple as, good people can choose bad men, you know? I think we all know someone that's like, sweetheart, really? After the last one? Okay. Like, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it just, for me, I think people get frustrated with it being the hypocrisy, the one-sidedness. But there's a lot of stubbornness as well. And there's not much you can do about that other than either accept it or don't. And it seems that the cast is at a point where they're like, no, I'm not accepting anything. But I think it's good Rachel jumped in. She's a new housewife. It's her second season. You know, what else is she supposed to do? Sit there like a mute? Um, but can I just tell you, I think we're getting the Orange County trailer this week, you guys, and I think it might generally trailers come out on Wednesday. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm excited. Season 18 of Orange County is going to be on fire. I'm calling it right now. I'm calling it right now. I guess I want to know though, do you guys want a complete reboot for New Jersey, or are you guys looking for specific people to be swapped out? I'm curious because we have this situation similarly with Atlanta that they just figured out, thankfully. And then Potomac as well. They've also kind of had to do a similar thing. So is it a complete RHONY reboot situation? Or are we looking at a like we just got to get rid of a few eggs and swap them out kind of thing? But isn't that just, I mean, I don't know. I guess it depends on who they decide to cut from the show. And also, a lot of people were pointing out too that from a budget perspective, if they did reboot the entire show, let's say, and they got a whole new cast of people, they probably could pay the whole cast with one person's salary realistically. Then it wouldn't matter. That's why I think RHONY, when people were bringing up when the RHONY reboot aired and the ratings are they're awful. The network didn't care. You know why? Because the amount of money that went into producing and shooting that show wasn't. Yeah, that's fine. Those ratings are good for what they probably put into it. Also, we have to consider that the network in above is not just looking at live viewership. You know, those are important. You know, that demo number is very important, obviously, for advertising and things like that. However, when you're looking at the whole package, you have to include streaming and, you know, collectively streaming numbers, they do add up because not everybody is watching live TV the same way that they did even 10 years ago, right? I do, but sometimes I don't. Sometimes I'm not live at 8 o'clock watching with everyone else. Sometimes it's at 9. Sometimes it's early the next morning when I'm up at 5:30. I will jump up and but I end up watching it twice anyway because I recap it for you guys. So what I'm saying is like the live number is not the only determining factor if the show is doing quote unquote well or not. And it's all based on what they deem as successful based on what they financially put into it. So it varies from project to project. All right. So, hey, Ronnie Jr. on YouTube says Rachel and Danielle are beginning to find themselves on the show. I enjoy both newbies. Melissa and Dolo are still my favorite, but all in all, I still like Real Housewives of New Jersey. Listen, I think I'm right there with you, Ronnie. I think that the show I think it still has potential to do well. And listen, everybody has a bad season. Every show has had a season where it's like, womp womp, wasn't the greatest, but that's just life. If you're really shooting reality, that's generally, sometimes it's not always exciting, even when you try to make it exciting, right? I don't know, but I do agree. Rachel and Danielle are finding themselves. You can tell Danielle, although she is a character, I will give her that. She's finding her footing. She's learning from her mistakes last season, not listening to everything everyone puts in her ear. And I think Rachel and her are going to be, I said this last season, I think they could be the future of New Jersey. I do. Don't come throwing rocks in my window, please. I don't mean that to say that they're the next iteration. I just think that this might be the next wave and they could lead it. That's what I think. All right. But wait, have you guys heard? I told you guys I'm releasing a Housewives Tales. It's called Housewives Tales. I produced 20 tracks, wrote 20 tracks. Will be out on July 11th, but I have released 6 singles. They're on Spotify. It's fun. It's kitschy. It's my version of merch, so everyone can enjoy it. Hopefully, it's very nostalgic to like the early 2000s vibes. So it's very like poppy and like fun and obviously very niche, right? Because it's all the songs are Bravo related. But yeah, so if you guys want to check that out, the 6 singles, you type in Giorgio Says in Spotify, you'll see them. There's a song called Taking Flights. There's a song called Meltdown in Aspen. There's Melissa G. There's a song of Melissa G. There's, what other song did I put out? Oh, obviously Lisa effing Rinna, which she loved, even though a lot of people hate her still. I appreciate that she shared the song and danced to it. But anyways, enough about me. Let's get into the comments and see what you guys are talking about. I'm going to move my phone so I can see the comments better. I wish StreamYard could let you see the Instagram comments too. All right. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of you guys saying similar things in regards to the group stuff, like where it's about what it used to be about. Get back to a place where, like, I agree with you, CM Rosa Ragona. Did I say that right? We need to get back to a place where we could get invested in the cast and their families, less drama. It all seems so scripted. Listen, at times it does feel that way because it feels like we're taking, in the past, right? The whole point around the housewife being the success was you kind of fell in love with her family too. That was kind of it was a package deal. And I'm not saying every single cast member needs to come equipped with the whole family because that's not realistic. However, we are moving away from more of the family line story and more into like, let's get right into the drama. You know what I mean? And I get there's got to be a balance. I can't watch one episode where it's just screaming from start to finish, but I also can't just sit through like, it's got to be balanced, right? It's a reality TV show. So there needs to be some funniness, there needs to be some quirkiness, there needs to be some drama, and there needs to be some like giving back to the community type stuff, like the charity events or the whatever it is. I also think I don't know. Has anyone checked on Jennifer Aiden? We didn't see her do any press. So does that mean that she's in serious trouble and she's not allowed to do press? Has anyone heard anything? Because I don't think I've even seen her. I've seen Teresa address the situation. Obviously, she said that was completely false and whatnot. But yeah, it's interesting. All right, what else is everyone saying? I really started disliking Teresa when she had Danielle pull Margaret's ponytail. Well, see, I feel like we always now I wonder, that's a good point. People forget that she's messy. So if someone else had done that, would we be giving them a pass like that? Let's change it. Let's say, and this is just hypothetical, this obviously wasn't what happened, but let's say Melissa was the one that told Danielle to do that. How do you think that would go over? Because I have a feeling it would really backfire on her, like really backfire. So it was interesting to see that like Teresa was just like got a little slap on the wrist and everyone still praised her like, yay, so it's just like, I get it. We all have, I guess, someone that could do no wrong in our eyes. Not really. Not me, at least. I mean, if there's something I don't like, I can love someone and what they do, but there might be something about them that they do something and I don't agree with it. I'm not going to just accept that behavior just because I like the person. And I see a lot of you guys too in the comments and on here saying it's time to bring the Manzos back. Are we ready to have Manzos back in New Jersey? Or are we talking about specific Manzos? Okay, yeah. See, I can do the Kathy and Rosie. I don't know. Do we need Caroline back? Actually, it might be interesting to have Caroline back because she's the one that, well, she said that she's the one that kind of introduced Danielle to the show. And then she said that Danielle stopped talking to her right after she got on the show. Let me just tell you something. Danielle is something else. Like, I don't know. Can you even be mad at her? She's in her own world. She is in her own world. And that bubble, it's like, The Manzos did have their own show. I don't think it did all that well, but I think there's certain key players from that family that if they were brought in could absolutely shake things up for sure. Not I don't think that's the direction they'll go in. But I think Danielle is going to be she's the type of personality that we need right now, and I think that's why I feel her and Rachel will be kind of like the next wave of New Jersey housewives that kind of lead the pack, because I think that sometimes in these situations when you have a lot of OGs, they get comfortable, they get a lot of money, they get the fame, and they start securing boundaries every which way, and it becomes harder and harder to film or get them to film with certain cast members. And that's, I guess, what comes with the territory. But I feel like when it gets to that point, then maybe it is time for you to go. Maybe that's the point where you say, you know what? I want to continue telling my story, but I want to be in control of the narrative. So I'm going to leave this show and I'm going to go create my own show. And I'm going to make sure that I have executive producer rights so that I can tell the story that I want to tell. But that's not like something that even seems to be an option. Like, it doesn't seem like Bravo wants to give anyone on New Jersey a spinoff of any kind outside of like the wedding special that Teresa had. But I'm saying, like, there's no other show that I can think of or that could be a good spinoff. Who else? I mean, who else on there would be a good spinoff type character for like their own show? All right. Teresa's in her own world as well. Yep. They're all, I feel like at some point when you get to that level and you've been on the show for that long, you end up probably, I would say, naturally building a bubble around you just because of the territory that, everyone knows so much about you. So I get you need to have some boundaries. I'm not saying like go balls to the wall and tell me every single detail about your life, every single episode. No, 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 no. Like, but it should be enough that we're learning something about your life every season. And I don't feel that we're getting that anymore. But you know what? Maybe it's just that it's just been a really awkward. I don't want to say it's awkward. It's the wrong word. It's been an interesting last 4 months with Bravo. Like, the shows are kind of like, there's not a lot airing right now. It's kind of, we're inching our way to the end of one and we still have to wait 2 more weeks for a new one to take its place. Whereas in the past, it was like, it was toppling over. Like, you jumped from one show to the next. And, although that can be crazy at times too, it keeps things more interesting and entertaining when it's like this. And then the shows that are airing right now, it's hard. I'm not going to lie. Well, I know we were here to, I knew we were going to mainly be talking about New Jersey today. Let's be completely honest. There was no way I was going to be able to sit here and think that I was just going to slide by and I didn't have a whole depthful recap for Dubai. I just wanted to talk about a little bit. Hi, Bravo Brushed. Love to see Andy in his world as a reality show. You know what? I think that would be such an interesting show. Red Jana said, love to see Andy in his world on a reality show. I think obviously his would not be like messy, but I would love to see a docuseries. I would love to see what his actual day-to-day is like. How does he show up at work? What are the meetings? What is he actually dealing with? I think that would be great. Thank you, CM Rosa. I love you. I love you guys. You guys are so sweet to me. Love them, but we need new cast just like New York. But see, I feel like when we do that, people get mad. It's like, I don't know. It's hard. I can imagine it's probably hard when you're trying to get everyone's buy-in on what they would like to see, and it's just so all over the place. But the main two things are like, reboot the whole show like RHONJ, or just get rid of a few people and swap out the bad apples. Either way, I'm sure it would figure itself out. I do think going the RHONJ reboot route is a bit dramatic, because I do think we still have some good key players on this current cast. I just think there's just a lot of history that takes over the show, unfortunately. And even though we have these two individuals being real, let's be honest, let's talk about reality for a second. That is a real thing. Normally, people that don't like each other anymore are not going to engage with each other or go to each other's events. But again, it's a reality show and we're living in a reality world. So it kind of is a little bit different in that way. But, it is what it is. Bravo Brush said swap out Louie and Marge. Now, what did Marge do? Bravo Brushed. What happened? Oh no. Do we not like Marge? Ooh, Selena. That's a good one too. Would like to see a documentary about the people behind the scenes and what goes on when creating each reality show. Selena, that's another good one. Oops, I'm not the current cast. Listen, everyone has their opinions. I respect everyone's opinion. It's just Bravo Brush says she's mean to her friends. I think it's interesting, Marge's storyline, though. I think it's definitely interesting to watch because I don't think it's a typical situation to be in, right? Like she's mourning the death of her ex-husband who has been a part of her life this entire time, and now he's no longer with them. And so she feels like that was the one thing that kind of made the whole thing work. And it was just very interesting because that's got to be such a like complex, layered feeling, I can't even begin to imagine what that must feel like because I can't even wrap my head around. And I don't mean this in a bad way. I'm saying I can't wrap my head around if I was no longer with my ex, still having them in my life to that extent where it's like, you know what I mean? So I think that's where I get hung up on that. But I find it really interesting and fascinating because it's so different from what we're used to. It's not like the norm. You don't know a lot of people that are that closely connected like that. But I think it's a good story to tell. I think it's interesting. I think it's not the normal, it's not what you would normally hear. And I find if I were sitting with Marge, I would love to talk to her about that more in depth. Like the layeredness to that is just so interesting to me. E Young says done with Dolo and Pauly. Don't find him interesting and kind of shady like Louis. Interesting. All I know is that there was someone had sent me, was it Dana Wilkie? I think it was Dana Wilkie. Someone sent me her, she had done, I think, a video on New Jersey, but she kind of alleged some stuff about Pauly, and I guess this goes back to what Melissa's old knows. See, this is where it gets real messy, guys. Melissa's old knows a lot. Okay, that's clear. Now, whether you believe all of the things that she's putting out there or not, I can't tell you what to believe. But it's funny, a lot of the things that she said ahead of the season premiere came to fruition. So that led me to think, okay, well, she knows enough to know about that much into it. She's obviously seen screeners. She's obviously having conversations with people that are showing up as Teresa and Jim Leonard and Jennifer Aiden in these screenshots. So I'm just saying, like, she's saying, I don't want to say it on here, we're live, and I didn't dig into it, but she's alleging something that was told to her by, again, this is alleged, Melissa's old nose said that Jim Leonard, which is Teresa's lawyer or whatever, Teresa and Louis' lawyer, that there's a very specific reason as to why Pauly will not get divorced and will probably not marry Dolores. And the reason being is so wild, and I haven't dug into it, so I don't know how factual or not factual it is, but they're alluding to the fact that that Pauly and his, well, we'll say his current wife, because they're not divorced, have some interesting businesses together that I guess, yeah, they're interesting businesses. That's what's being said. And the reason why they're not divorcing is because of those businesses. That's where I'll leave it. Because again, I haven't looked into it in more depth. So I don't want to say what the alleged businesses are, because that could set a wildfire unnecessarily without real facts behind it. So I don't want to do that. But it was interesting that, you know, obviously my ears perked up because everything that this person has been saying, close, not paid by anyone. Close. And hello, not paid by anyone. Welcome, welcome. I'm always fashionably late, so I get it. So yeah, I don't know. I think that there's just either there's a lot of dirt on everyone and everyone's just sitting quiet and like don't want to get like plucked out, or I don't know. So if those things are true about Pauly, then that's unfortunate, because I feel like when is Dolores going to get her, when is she going to get her time? You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like, but I don't know, maybe she's aware. Maybe this is just the storyline for the show. Maybe she's like cool with everything the way it is. I don't know. I will say, to be fair, Pauly doesn't rub me the same way that Louis did. I'll say that. So I see some people have said like, or made some comparisons, like, and again, I don't know Pauly, but I'm saying the way he's coming off isn't rubbing me the wrong way. I think I have questions, like a lot of people probably do, like, why are you still married? You know, things like that. Oh my. Well, we did find out, was it last episode? We did find out that Gia's boyfriend works with Louis. So, you know, keep it in the family. Keep it in the family. Let me see what you guys are saying. I think Dolores is going to distance herself from Pauly. He said some mean things to Dolores. He is not marrying Dolores. What do you think about the blogger running her mouth? 15 minutes of fame. Bravo, Brush. Are you referring to Melissa's old nose? God, we've got to get better handles, guys. We've got to get better handles. I feel like so disrespectful saying that handle all the time. It's wild. Anyways, yeah, you know what? I think there's a lot of mixed reviews on this account. Obviously people were thrown off at the fact that this came out of left, like it was like literally she woke up one day and was just like, screw all of you, okay? But then there were some conspiracies that I saw on Twitter, X, that was like insinuating that perhaps she was always on the other side and she just kind of pretended to be Team Trey to like get infiltrate it. And like, that's a bit outlandish to me. That's a bit of a like, okay, what kind of operation are we trying to, like, who's trying to pretend to get on the inside? I mean, I guess that would be brilliant if you're trying to take down whatever's happening, right? But it's not translating for everybody. But like I've said, she does seem to know a lot of stuff that has happened or is shown on the show. So it's just, you know. Listen, you guys, if you haven't noticed, Gia is being prepared to be the next housewife. That is why we're seeing her in scenes more. That's why she's a part of the grown-up conversations now. They're trying to paint her in a way that kind of sets it up like, okay, yep, she's on track. First of all, they ask, so are you going to get married soon? And she's like, oh, I don't know. It's like, come on. We're clearly gearing her up to be a housewife, and that's fine. Now, I don't know if everybody's going to be down for that in terms of viewers, but hey, I don't do what you got to do, babes. If I could have $1 for every time I saw a comment that says Gia needs to go away, I would be in Bali right now. That's where I would be. Gia's wedding special. Stop. I can't. Could you imagine? I watch. If she does in fact get engaged and married, they're going to do a wedding special for her. Maria asked, are you watching Dubai Housewives? Yes. I talked about it a little bit earlier in this live. The premiere, I said, was very much, I was pleasantly surprised and I was entertained. It was light. It was kind of that OG housewife drama. Bravo Brush, do not remind me. I actually feel really old. What was I doing the other day? And I said something and no one around me knew what it was. And I left quite literally because I was like, I can't do this. I feel like I am from another. Anyways. What else is going on? Well, we do have the Valley season finale tonight. And I will say, I love that show. I love that show. So good on them. This, I do feel, will be the next iteration of Vanderpump Rules. I think this is more realistic. Not paid by anyone. It's not an unpopular opinion. I love it. I think it's I don't know if I love it because everything just seems like it sucks lately. And so anything, but like Dubai, the Valley, like we're getting there. We're getting there. But I do think the Valley was mistreated in that they did not get a reunion. I think that was a big mistake on their part. There's so much happening that has happened since filming that is currently happening now that a reunion would have been perfect. I was just talking to someone the other day. They hadn't seen the Valley yet. And I was like, this is actually the perfect time to binge it. It's the season finale tonight. It's 12 episodes. It is so good in terms of the episodes don't feel drawn out. There's a lot of moving parts. And we have some key players on there that are they're great. The cast is good. So I definitely recommend you watch that. So no, I don't want Sheena anywhere near the Valley. I will say not for season 2, but I think in another season or 2, like season 3 or 4, Lala absolutely should go on the Valley. And I will stand behind that because I think she is naturally good friends with most of those people. And I know that Jax has said that he doesn't want anybody from Vanderpump Rules coming over. And does the show need them? No. But if it were to be a cast shakeup, or not cast shakeup, but if they, sometimes they make changes from season to season. So, hey, in a few seasons, if she naturally makes her way onto the show, yeah. Do I want Sheena on there? No, because it'll be the Sheena Shea show, and I'm not interested in that. It doesn't bother me either way, but it's just kind of like, I guess now that I know that her whole MO is just to be the center of attention all the time for every single facet of everything when a camera's up, is not, I think that would be more distracting from the actual cast members on the show that are bringing an actual storyline. Can we talk about Brock for a second in the home reno? How much does he charge? Because if I wonder, because listen, hear me out. I would love for him to come and redo our driveway, because the very driveway that it is his driveway. I always loved the driveways that have like the tile stone with the grass in the cracks of it. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Am I like a Looney Tune? I fucking love those driveways. There's just something, and and then the ones that are real, like really like bougie with it, and they get the lighting that goes in the cracks. So at night, your grass lights up when you pull up. It's like that to me makes me so horny. I love shit like that. And so every day I'm like in my head, I envision what our driveway will look like. If it looked like that, I'm like, it would look so much better. So I say that to say, Brock, and I know you still have things you got to work on your house is coming first, but sir, I think you are doing an amazing job, sweetie. You are building a home, and I love to see it, because if anyone loves a good DIY, it's me. I just can't seem to translate the DIY stuff into like that type of, like, I can't do DIY driveway installs or any shit like I can DIY someone like something. I can't do construction really well. That's what I'm trying to say. He seems naturally good at it, and I would love that type of driveway. And so if I could work something out, Brock, you could bring your little sidekick Summer, because I think that's so cute too. I don't know if you guys have seen his. She's literally with him the entire time, and it's the cutest thing. I think the last one I saw of him was of him making Summer Moon's quiet room in the house. And it's just like, I love it. I just love, like, I don't want kids, but if I did have a kid, I would absolutely be that obsessed that like they would have to have their own little spaces like that. Cause that to me is like the biggest joy. But yeah, I love it. I love seeing that he's constantly showing, the improvements that are being made. And you know what? Good on them. Good on them. Yes, Lori on YouTube. Where is Family Karma? Justice for Family Karma, you guys. I really don't understand what happened there. So I agree, Lori. Let's bring it back now. What did they have? They had like 4 seasons, no? Or was it 3? I'll tell you one thing. I think I'm currently, so if you guys are not familiar, I have a Patreon, and my Patreon is actually really, it's a vibe over there. Okay. So not only do you get ad-free exclusive podcast episodes, but I do a series called Rewatch, where I rewatch old seasons of Housewives. So right now I'm rewatching Real Housewives of DC. And obviously I live and have lived in DC, and now just right outside of DC. But it's so funny watching it back. It's like from 2009, and these women did not have a clue, a Scooby-Doo clue, what they were doing. And it was just so good. They were not self-aware. They didn't realize the amount of things that, like, oh gosh, I'm blanking on her name. The British one, and her husband was like the photographer for the White House, and she was literally talking smack about every single politician that her husband was essentially working with. But it was like, now that would never happen, because people would be too, but it's just so crazy to watch. So what I'm saying is, if you want to go check it out, you can. I'm going to actually start rewatching other Bravo shows in the same speed, because I release 1 episode each week. But it's good. And then I do Giorgio Says Investigates, where I dive deep into a Bravo story, past, present, you name it, something interesting. So I've done, I did how many episodes have I done now? I think I have 4 episodes. I've only had my Patreon for about a month. So you haven't missed all too much, but I do post every single week. There's new content coming in all the time. Plus you get all of my regular content. So if you are a free paid member, like that's not a real thing, Giorgio. If you are a free Patreon member, you have access to all of my other content that's posted everywhere else. And then just the exclusive content is for the paid. But I only have one tier, and I'm still working on some other fun animated stuff to do lives on there and such. So still working that out. And also, I really, really appreciate you guys giving me feedback on those, specifically the Giorgio Says Investigate series. You guys really love the edit. You love the way I put it together. And I really appreciate that because I spend a lot of time. I love editing video. And so I wanted to elevate the content a little bit more for Patreon. And so that's why that takes up a lot more time, but I love it because it's just there's so much you can do with it and it's so fun. So I appreciate that. So thank you for that. Let me see what else. Yes, why is Martha's Vineyard on pause? Why are we pausing shows now? What's this pausing? It's a little out of hand, guys. Are you guys interested? Wait, what do we have? Is there another? What else is coming on tonight besides The Valley? I'm not sure. It's Tuesday. Why am I blinking? Anyway. Well, this has been fun. And I'll be honest with you guys. I was a little nervous doing this because I always get a little nervous. Denise, thank you. I love you. I think I forgot what I was going to say. See, Denise, you got my mind all jumbled. I love seeing you in my lives. I love seeing you, period. What is going on? Why am I blanking? Wait, so are we getting we're not getting another episode this week, are we, of Dubai? That would be fabulous. That would actually be smart on them if they did do it that way. Like if they premiered it on Sunday and then Tuesday gave us, because they did that with Miami for the reunion, didn't they? They like did it like 2 episodes back to back or a week. I forgot. Or they did the last 2 parts in the same week or something. I don't know. Anyhow. Kat, I'm afraid to answer that question based on what your response may be. Don't pay my hair any attention. It's a mess and it's hot and I get 5 million comments in my DMs about it all the time and it's okay. I understand. But the answer is yes. Kat, hey, Ronnie Jr. helped me remember. Kat is the cast member you're talking about. She was a refreshing cast member. She was very, I loved her. When I went to the premiere of they had a premiere party here when the show was airing. And she was fun. Like she was sparky. She was outside smoking cigarettes. She had this little like cute little dress on, this like motorcycle jack. She was just like too cool. Thank you, Kat. I'm sorry. I was assuming the worst. I appreciate that, Kat. Thank you. Sometimes you never know where that is going to go. Yes, I did. They're like, it looks awful. It's fine. Thank you, though. Yeah, I think that's it. I need to double check. We're getting a new episode of Dubai? Hold on, I'm checking. I'm going to confirm for you guys before we leave this live. We have to know. Inquiring minds want to know. What is the dealio? I'm going on my guide. Let me just see really quick. Okay. 5 to 6. The Valley, 7 to 8. No, we're not. Oh, wait. No, we're not getting, it's not going to be a new episode of Dubai tonight, guys. They're going to re-air episode 1 of Dubai at 10:15 Eastern Standard Time is what I'm showing. And it looks like they're just going to do the Valley twice, which makes sense. Oh, interesting. So I guess next week we'll start Dubai with Tuesdays. Kat asked, why don't you collaborate with Jolene? Jolene? Who's Jolene? I don't know. Who's Jolene? There's no reason. I honestly, I don't think I know Jolene. So maybe that's a good start as to why we may not have collabed. Hey, Kat, can you share her handle with me? I'd love to at least see who it is. Sorry, guys. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but there is not a new episode of Dubai. Ronnie, I'm going to be going live Tuesday through Thursdays now from 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm not putting a time cap on it per se. Generally an hour, but I feel like this is, and I appreciate that. Thank you so much for the compliment. I truly, truly appreciate it. I just feel like it's time to get back into the lives, but I want to be same time, same place, so you guys know, and you can also plan for it, because nothing worse than finding out someone went live and you didn't even know about it because it was impromptu. And sometimes that happens, that's fine. But I'd like to at least have, set times for you guys so we all can interact at the same time, because that's a big part of what I love about this is in, reactions in real time. So I really appreciate you guys staying on with me. It's been about almost an hour and a half. Wow. Thank you so much for all the comments and the funnies and the everything. I will be back on tomorrow, 12 p.m. Eastern time on the YouTube channels and the Instagrams. Please follow me on TikTok, subscribe to my YouTube, check out my Patreon if you haven't. It's fun over there. I promise. There's just one tier. It's real simple. Good free stuff going on, so you can check out the vibe. You don't have to commit. I think we'll leave it here today, guys. So thank you all for joining me. Jolene Lunzer. Oh, yes, I do know of her content, Kat. Actually, she's actually on my list of people, because I'm actually getting a list of people for my podcast that I want to start bringing on a regular basis. And she has some great content on YouTube. I love watching her stuff. So thank you for the last name, because I don't know why I was blanking on that. Maybe because I know the last name more than, anyways, you get what I'm saying. So, okay, guys, I will leave this here, because as you guys know, if you've been following me, I say I'm going to end something and then I go into another rant. So I'm not going to do that to you guys today. It's Tuesday. But I will see you guys here tomorrow, same time, same channels. I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day. Stay safe out there, stay alert, and stay hydrated. Okay? It's important to stay hydrated, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye, guys.